We're not concerned about anyone else right now. It's Alex Eala time. This is Alex Eala's moment. Our days, our dinners, our evenings are fixated on when she's playing. That's real tennis fandom right there. Love it.
This is so great for tennis in general, I think, having players like Alex out there. And she's so gracious to all her fans. She spends time with her fans, signs the autographs, takes the photos, and really just shows the Filipino community that it is all about the Philippines. And I still carry that flag with me no matter where I go across the world. And such a young woman at that has that wisdom of just what it means to play for her country.
Only 20 years old, such maturity, already a hero to her entire nation. I mean, it's basically Manny Pacquiao and Alex Eala, right? I mean, that's it. That's who they're looking up to right now.
That is not a casual fan. That is someone whose whole evening, dinner, downtime, everything gets reorganized around a match schedule. That is a person who does not just follow a player. They live inside the results with her. And she is not alone in that, not even slightly. The fans who follow Alex Eala do not watch from a distance. They feel every single point, and right now they have something to feel that has never existed before. Alex Eala is ranked number 28 in the world. WTA Live Rankings. Official, confirmed, that is her career high. A number no Filipino tennis player, man or woman, has ever reached in the history of this sport. And she earned it by surviving a match that had every reason to end her Indian Wells run. A match she was losing. A match where the opponent had seized control and the scoreboard was pointing in one clear direction. She turned it around anyway. The third set, Yastremska had broken serve and was pressing every point. Most players at 20, carrying the weight Eala carries onto every court, would feel the air leave the room in a moment like that. The set is gone, the crowd is tense, the opponent is not making mistakes. The match has a destination and you are not it. But here is the thing about Alex Eala that the ranking captures and still cannot fully explain. She dug in. Found the moments that were available, made Yastremska pay for every opening until the openings multiplied. 7-5, 4-6, 7-5, 3 sets, a war from first game to last, and when it ended, Eala was still standing. That win pushed her from her official ranking of 32 straight up to number 28 on the live rankings. A career high, a historic first for Filipino tennis, but that is not the most shocking part of this story. Her reward for surviving 3 sets, for fighting through a broken third and finding a way to close, is a match against Coco Gauff, world number 4 on American soil. In California, in front of a crowd that will be behind Gauff on almost every single point. Less than a month after Gauff beat her 6-0, 6-2 in Dubai. The universe, when it comes to Alex Eala's career, operates with a very specific sense of humor. Before we get to Gauff, though, we need to watch how she actually won this match. Because the way she won it tells you something about who she is that the ranking number alone can never capture. Close to midnight in California, 3 sets already played. The crowd loud enough that you could feel it before you could hear it properly. And one player, 20 years old from the Philippines, refusing to let the match end without her.
Yastremska left herself exposed when she came forwards. It's a golden opportunity missed, believe it, after working so hard to get the break. She's been broken right back. Oh. Couldn't have placed it better. The noise is deafening inside Stadium 3. One of the best. But there's just too many errors in her game. Too many double faults. 8 in this set alone. 15 for the match. And it hands Alex Eala a 4th match point. It's Eala's night, and the Filipina wins a blockbuster close to midnight in Indian Wells. Look at the great respect between these two. This was a sensational match. Diana Yastremska more than played her part. Lovely respect between the two, but it's Alex Eala who thrives in these matches. She thrives in these kinds of atmospheres, and she's done it again. 7-5, 4-6, 7-5. Incredible, absolutely incredible. And if not the match of the tournament so far, it's certainly a big contender, and it's going to be hard to beat. I think the support in the end got her over the line, but you've got to feel for Diana Yastremska. She had chances.
Incredible. That word gets overused in sports. It gets handed out before it is earned, dropped into commentary the moment something exciting happens, worn down by repetition until it loses its weight entirely. But close to midnight in Indian Wells, watching a 20-year-old Filipino player fight through 4 match points in a stadium shaking with noise, come back from the edge in the third set, and close out one of the most emotionally charged matches of this tournament, the word finds you before you even reach for it. You do not have to decide to use it, it is just the only one that fits. She thrives in those atmospheres. That is not a compliment. That is a pattern, a diagnosis. Most players at 20 are still learning how to survive big moments without breaking under the weight of them. Eala is already past that. She is learning how to own those moments, how to take a stadium full of pressure and noise and turn it into something that sharpens her instead of overwhelms her, how to feel the full size of the occasion and use it. That is rare at any age. At 20, it is almost unheard of. Think about what she walked into at Indian Wells, a third set she was losing, an opponent who had broken her serve and had momentum on her side. A crowd that was fully invested in every point. That is not a comfortable situation for any professional player on tour. That is the kind of situation that ends runs. That is the kind of moment that shows you exactly what a player is made of when there is no easy way through, and Eala walked through it anyway. Now, number 28, let's talk about what that position actually means in practice. Not just as a historic milestone to acknowledge and move on from, as a real, concrete change to the way she gets to compete going forward. The top 32 ranked players in the world receive direct entry into Grand Slam main draws. No qualifying rounds, no preliminary bracket, no arriving at the 4 biggest tournaments in tennis, Wimbledon, the US Open, the Australian Open, Roland Garros, already worn down from 3 extra matches just to reach the starting line that every player ranked above you gets to stand at automatically. You walk straight into the main draw, you prepare with a full week behind you. You protect your body, conserve your energy, and show up knowing your place in the draw is locked in before the tournament week even begins. That changes everything about competing at the major level. It changes how you plan your full season. It changes how you manage your body through a long tour year. It changes the mental experience of arriving at every Grand Slam knowing your entry is guaranteed. Eala has earned that right. At number 28, she is not perched on the edge of that threshold. She is comfortably inside it, and every win at Indian Wells pushes that number higher in real time. Every match won at an event this size adds to her total immediately. A run to the quarterfinals or semifinals generates the kind of points haul that could push her somewhere this sport has never seen a Filipino player stand. The top 20. 2 years ago, the question was whether Eala could break into the top 100 on the senior tour and hold it. 1 year ago, the conversation was about whether she had the consistency to stay inside the top 50. Right now, today, the top 20 is not a long-term goal. It is not a projection. It is a math problem that could be solved during this exact tournament on these exact courts in these exact weeks. When you lay that progression out flat, top 100 question to top 50 question to top 20 now sitting right there on the table, it almost does not feel real. The speed of it, the steepness of the climb, and yet here we are. You have been watching this happen in real time, every win adding to the total, every ranking update moving the number, every match answering the question that the previous match left open. This is not a story being told in retrospect. It is unfolding right now at this tournament in this week, and you are watching it live. Nobody handed her any of it. Now let's talk about golf. The people who want to pump the brakes on the Eala momentum keep going back to one number. 6062, Dubai, less than a month ago, and they are not wrong to go back to it. That score represents a version of Coco Gauff operating at a level where Eala genuinely had no answers. The power, the pace, the relentless consistency, all of it was too much on that day. There is no spin available for 6062. It was a complete performance from Gauff and a hard, clear lesson for Eala. But here is what never gets mentioned alongside it. Eala walked into that match at a lower ranking, at an earlier stage of her 2026 season, before the run of wins that have now pushed her to the highest point of her career. Every match since Dubai has added something real. Another situation survived under real pressure. Another moment where the comfortable solution was gone and she had to find a harder one. Another layer of specific knowledge about what elite players do at this level and how to respond. The player stepping onto the court at Indian Wells is carrying all of that behind her. The Dubai scoreline was real. But the player who took it is not the same player walking in now. And there is one more thing that gets overlooked in every Goff matchup preview. Eala and Goff were doubles partners. They have shared a court in a completely different context, side by side, communicating, watching how the other processes pressure and reads situations from the inside. That is a context that changes what you see. When you have played alongside someone, won and lost points with them, you understand how they move under pressure in a way that watching hours of match tape simply cannot replicate. That kind of familiarity does not live on any scouting report and does not appear in any match statistics, but it will be on the court at Indian Wells. Knowing your opponent as a person and as a player gives you a category of information that film study alone simply cannot produce. Goff will have the crowd, the home atmosphere, the ranking, the most recent scoreline, and after the Yastremska win, when Eala was asked about facing Goff, she said she was excited. Maybe that is a player who has genuinely learned that the bigger the stage, the better she plays. Or maybe it is the most composed press conference answer anyone has given after surviving a match that nearly ended their tournament. Probably both, almost certainly both. Here is the part of this story that moves so fast there is rarely time to stop and say it properly. Tennis has a deep, established hierarchy. Breaking into the top 30 as a player from the Philippines, without the funded development pipelines, without the academy systems, without the decades of compounding advantages that players from the United States, Russia, or Czech Republic carry into their careers by default, is genuinely harder than it looks from the outside. The infrastructure that produces top 30 players in those countries has been building for generations. Talent identification, coaching networks, financial investment. It all compounds over years and creates players who arrive on the senior tour already battle-hardened in ways that players from smaller tennis nations often simply are not. Nobody built any of that for Alex Eala. She got here on talent, on work ethic, and on a mental toughness that has been impossible to ignore since her junior Grand Slam titles, since the early matches where the tennis world stopped and realized they were watching something uncommon. She carries an entire country's expectations onto every court she walks onto. The fans who rearrange their evenings, who flood social media after every result, who travel across cities and time zones to be inside the stadium when she plays, they are not just a fan base. They are a reflection of what it means for a country that does not often get to watch one of its own competing at this level. Number 28 is not just a ranking, it is proof. Proof that the junior titles were a preview and not a ceiling. Proof that the doubts, whether her talent would translate, whether she could hold her ground against professionals week after week on the biggest stages, were always pointing at the wrong thing. She is here, the number is real, verified, and undeniable, and it is moving in one direction. The critics who questioned whether the junior resume would translate, whether she had what it takes to compete at the senior level week after week against players who have been doing this longer and hit harder, they are watching the ranking updates right now. And the ranking updates are saying the same thing every match adds to. She is here, she is not a fluke, she is not a moment, she is a player who has built something real and is still building. Indian Wells is not over, Goff is next. The crowd will be enormous. The moment will be the biggest of her career so far. But a player who comes back from the edge in the third set, survives 4 match points in a shaking stadium, wins close to midnight, and then tells the press she is excited for what comes next. That player is not running from the moment, she is running toward it. If this has you locked in for what happens next at Indian Wells, hit that like button and drop your ranking prediction for Eala in the comments. Top 20, top 10. Even higher, let's hear it.